SABC News, independent and impartial.
From an African perspective. Welcome back to Africa Midday. Zambia has established an economic and financial crimes fast-track court. The court is meant to deal with suspended corruption and white-collar financial crimes and dispose them speedily in view of recovering plundered resources. The statutory instrument which establishes the fast-track court is a new phenomenon in the history of the country, brought in by now 4-month-old President Hakainde Hichilema, who has pledged to fight graft. Our correspondent Arthur Davis Kopo has the details.
It is a new phenomenon in the history of the country, at least in the last administrations, that a court that is specifically set to deal with economic and financial crimes at supersonic speed has been established. After a resounding victory in the August 12, 2021 general elections, Hakainde Hichilema, who had been the opposition leader of the United Party Financial Development for long, took charge, promised to govern the country by the rule of law, but largely with a tide to economic recovery.
We will increase the benefits of being honest rather than being dishonest as observed in the past. We will introduce specialized fast-track stolen assets recovery mechanisms and courts for corruption and economic crimes.
And now, Chief Justice Mumba Malila is announcing the establishment of an economic and financial crimes court to be first based at Lusaka High Court.
Crimes of an economic nature, especially, deserve expeditious disposal because of their effect on the economy of the country. On Friday last week, pursuant to the power entrusted in me by Article 133, Sub-Article 3 of the Constitution, I signed a statutory instrument that will establish the Economic and Financial Crimes Division of the High Court.
A number of ministers, senior and junior government officers in the fallen administration of Edgar Lungu and the Patriotic Front have been summoned, investigated and arrested by law enforcement agencies over various allegations, but key among them are economic and financial matters. Former minister, popularly known as the bulldozer, Boman Lusambo, a self-confessed ex-president Edgar Lungu's bootlicker, is this week's victim after he was called for interrogation and later locked up, facing charges of being in possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime. Mr. Lusambo is now crying foul, accusing Hichilema of persecuting him.
We continue suffering. All this you are seeing is persecution from Mr. Hakainde Hichilema's government, but you are not going to stop talking.
It is on record that alleged white-collar crime take long to dispose of in courts of law, and setting up of the Economic and Financial Crimes Fast-Track Court is set to change the sphere, and governance expert McDonald Chipenzi welcomes it.
We are hopeful will be very, very instrumental in ensuring that justice regarding economic crimes will be attained efficiently. We may be on the right track to deal with the inefficiencies, the delays that usually associated with economic crimes and the fight against corruption, money laundering and abuses that we saw in the past, where such cases would take years, if not decades.
According to the Auditor General's report that targets state institutions and ministries, billions of kwacha go unaccounted for, misapplied, misallocated, not retired, among other unexplained misnomers. And sadly, those involved are usually not followed up to account for these state resources, thereby depriving many needy areas such as the alleviation of poverty in a country where 60% of its population lives in abject poverty according to a World Bank rating. Brebna Changala, a human and civil rights defender, attributes the high poverty levels in the country to dishonesty or white-collar crimes by those entrusted with public resources.
This is a country that was a middle-class country under the MOD, which has been pushed into one of the poorest countries in the world through plunder of national resources by those that are entrusted to govern.
Action Aid Zambia, whose priority work is in civic participation and state accountability, continue to recommend and support the review of holistic implementation of the Public Finance Management Act and to see to it that what people deserve is what they get. Naruchanga Ngaziba is the country director.
We welcome the announcement of the creation of a special court, which is long overdue, and we recommend that economic and financial crimes must not end just at the establishment of the court, but government must also consider strengthening investigative wings on management of financial crimes.
Indeed, financial and economic crimes are a big burden to a country in terms of poverty and nutrition. Reporting for the SABC's Channel Africa in Lusaka, Zambia, I'm Arthur Davis, Scopo.
That report by Arthur brings the time to 21 minutes after 1 o'clock. You're still tuned in to Africa Midday. My name is Zikona Miso. The first day of schooling kicked off in inland provinces in South Africa this morning, and the country's Minister of Basic Education, Angie Motshekga, says she's happy that the start of the 2022 academic year is going smoothly. However, COVID-19, overcrowding, bad infrastructure remain a major challenge in some schools in the country. And to talk more about this, we join her on the line by Noncedo Matubetube, who is a General Secretary at a civil rights organization, Equal Education.